Welcome to Let's Talk with Tara, the space where real life meets real answers. I am Dr. Tara T. Stallings, counselor and coach, here to help you navigate life's toughest challenges. Together, we'll explore psychological insights, emotional healing, relational growth, and biblical truths to empower your journey. So grab a seat, lean in, and let's have the conversations that matter the most. Hi, you guys. So, how often do you replay the past, obsess on the future, or talk yourself out of an action? What would your life be like if your thoughts were your servants and not your masters? So today we're going to be talking about overthinking. It's exhausting. And we're going to be talking about strategies against negative overthinking. So welcome to Let's Talk Tara. So what is negative overthinking? So often I hear people say that, oh, I'm an overthinker, I'm an overthinker, I'm an overthinker. And I tell them overthinking is not bad. Actually, overthinking is great if you're thinking positive outcomes. Overthinking becomes detrimental to you physically, emotionally, psychologically, and spiritually when it's negative. And most people overthink negative. So, what is overthinking? Overthinking is the constant loop of negative overthinking. Let me say that. Negative overthinking is the constant loop of what if, should have, and worst case scenarios. That's what it's a constant loop. It's a cycle. So, and it disguises itself a lot of times as preparation and analysis. Overthinking wears a clever disguise. It masquerades as being productive. I hear this all the time. I just want to make sure I have everything right. It masquerades as being productive, responsible, or even wise. It looks like being cautious, planning ahead, or even thoroughly analyzing a situation. But in reality, it becomes a mental trap that stops you from taking action at all. Let's talk about how this plays out. You tell yourself that you're preparing. And I hear this scenario. Well, I just want to make sure the mindset, I just want to make sure I'm preparing and I'm preparing correctly and everything is perfect. You just want to make sure everything is perfect before you send a letter, before you apply for the job, before you create the presentation, before you take a step of faith. You need to think things through for every possible outcome before you make a decision. And those outcomes are usually negative. You feel like you're being responsible. You say to yourself, I don't want to rush into anything. And that's not a bad thing because you do want to be responsible. But we're talking about negative overthinking. The next mindset is, I'm just doing my due diligence. And I hear this all the time. I just want to make sure I'm doing my due diligence. I don't want to rush. But what's happening underneath is you're stuck in fear. Fear of failure, rejection, embarrassment, or making the wrong choice. You're looped in the same thoughts over and over without moving forward. You're avoiding discomfort that comes with risk taking, being vulnerable, or just changing itself. Overthinking does this. Overthinking can lead to paralysis. And I'm going to talk to you about that. Instead of helping you move forward, negative thinking is a waste of your energy. It's a waste of energy because you waste energy on imaginary scenarios that never happened. Have you ever thought about things? Oh, the worst case, and this always the worst case scenarios. You create these narratives, these movies, and they never happen. They never happen. Displays decisions until the opportunity pass. Delays. I'm sorry. It delays you making a decision until the opportunity has passed. That's that preparation, trying to make sure everything is perfect. But you delay making a decision to the point where the opportunity passes. And then you make then you make the statement. A lot of you guys make the statement, well, that maybe that just wasn't for me. No, you didn't make a decision. You were thinking over negatively, overthinking, and that opportunity passed. It erodes self-trust. It erodes self-trust. You stop believing you can make good choices. You stop believing that you can make good choices. And a lot of time that overthinking is because you made a choice and it wasn't a good choice, or you didn't have the best outcome. But it doesn't mean that you didn't make a good choice, because sometimes because you didn't get the outcome that you needed, it still taught you something. So you have to look at it in a different perspective. Maybe you made a decision in the past. The outcome was not what you expected. So now you have a fear of, well, I don't want to make that same mistake again. Well, was it really a mistake? Or could it have been purposeful so that you can learn a lesson for the future? That's a whole nother podcast, but we won't talk about that today. Also, how it leads to paralysis, it increases your anxiety level, making the situation feel bigger and more overwhelming than it actually is. Negative overthinking, it does this. Let me give you some examples. And these are real life examples. I'm not going to go into details, but what if you want to start a business? And so many people have all these great ideas. They want to launch a business. They want to create something. They do the research for weeks, for years. They take notes. They listen to podcasts. They go to seminars. They build a business plan, but they never launch it. Why? Because the negative what ifs take over. And the what ifs are, what if nobody buys? What if it fails? What if I'm not good enough? What if it's not good enough? And those negative overthinking can easily be, what if everyone buys? What if it's not a failure, but it's a success? What if I am enough and whatever I am doing is going to be beneficial and helpful to so many people? That's positive overthinking. But with the what ifs, the negative overthinking, it paralyzes you. It paralyzes you. It's not preparation. That's a disguise. It's not preparation. It's paralyzed, and you're not preparing for it. You're paralyzed by it. Preparation leads to progress. I'm going to say that again. Preparation leads to progress, but overthinking leads to avoidance. The difference: preparation has a plan, a time limit, and it leads to action. Negative overthinking is open-ended, emotionally charged, and it keeps you in the same place. I want to let you sit there. I want to sit there for a minute, because so many of you guys are living a life of frustration, disappointment, unfulfillment, because you have allowed negative overthinking to be your master and not your servant. to be your master and not your servant. Think about that. Think about that. You won't apply for the job because you talk yourself out of it. You won't do something different with your spouse or your children or your friends or a coworker because you have created this negative scenario that nothing's going to change. They're going to say this and this is going to happen. And you don't know that. You don't know that. It may have happened in the past, but it doesn't mean that the same thing that happened in the past is going to happen this time. But you've created that negative scenario. And I'm guilty of this. Now, I'm going to say this in the past, but until I got healed and understand that the same energy that I use to think negative is the same amount of energy and effort that I use to think positively. Have you ever replayed a conversation that you had with someone from 3, 5, 2 weeks ago, wondering if you said the right thing or the wrong thing, or what you should have said or what you should have did? That's negative overthinking. Negative overthinking. That's negative. And it paralyzes. It keeps you in this prison. It keeps you in a prison where you can't move forward because you're stuck with that negative overthinking. Negative overthinking. So let's talk about the impact that negative overthinking has emotionally and psychologically, because it has an impact. It increases cortisol levels. We've been hearing about cortisol levels lately for the last few years, and that's that stress hormone, leading to anxiety and physical fatigue. Overthinking is linked to insomnia. I always mess that word up. Insomnia. Y'all know what I'm saying. Can't sleep. I mess that word up all the time. Irritability, decision fatigue, and lack of confidence. That's what overthinking, it's linked to that, because your thoughts are always going. You're irritable because your thoughts are always going. You're overthinking. You can't make a decision, and because your thoughts, you don't know, well, how do I make this decision? Do I make that decision? And it drains you. It takes all your energy. It creates false scenarios that feel emotionally real. It creates false scenarios that feel emotionally real. You have to get out of your head negatively. If you're going to stay in your thoughts positively so that you can have positive outcomes. Because let me share with you, if you believe that it won't, then it won't. But if you believe that it will, then it will. Whatever you believe, right, wrong, or indifferent, is your truth because you believe it. You believe it. Your words create your reality. Your thoughts create your reality. So if you keep saying, well, I tried that before, but your negative overrides your positive, you're going to get whatever overrides it. Saying something positive one time is not going to override the negative thoughts that you have, because those thoughts are images and they create reality. They create reality. So let's talk about some strategies to take control back, because you can take your control back. You can allow your thoughts to be your servants and not your master. Allow your thoughts to serve you and not control you, not master over you. How do you allow those thoughts to serve you? Change that negative overthinking to positive overthinking, and then you will start getting the results that you want, that you deserve. The first thing one strategy that I use is name it. Not name it. Identify what you are actually afraid of. Rejection, failure, embarrassment. What is it? What is it? And I'm going to use me for example. I had to learn to get over people. I am naturally an introvert. I like being by myself. I don't like particularly being in crowds. I don't like speaking in front of people. I don't even really care for speaking, creating these videos. I do it because I know that's my assignment. Just like I just messed the words up, insomnia, however I don't always say the right words. I don't always enunciate my words properly. So I could allow that fear to prevent me, to keep me trapped. I don't, because I don't, can I be real? I don't care what people think about me. I don't. I don't care if they say, oh, she always messing up her words, or she didn't enunciate properly. I don't care. I don't care. If I have a southern drawl, I don't care about that. I do not care about that. I care about getting the information out. That's all I care about. That is all. So once I got over that fear of what people gonna think about me, I was able to move on. I could identify what it is. I remember, and I'm gonna tell you this short little story. And I remember the first podcast or recording that I made. And my friend girl Shanna, we did it in my home. And I was like, oh, Shanna, I cannot record. I can't do this. I said, I sound horrible. I'm country. She was like, you sound, I was like, no, I can't do it. I sounded horrible to myself. My fear of how I sounded, how I looked, how I perceived myself in front of people, it prevented me for a very, 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 very long time from doing what I'm doing. I had to think about that negative overthinking. I had to say, well, you know what? I'm not the only person that has a southern drawl that's on that's on live TV. And I thought about Paula Deen. Paula Deen just as country as she want to be. Y'all know Paula Deen, the little white lady that has the cooking show, and she's famous for her food in Savannah. I thought about Paula Deen. I thought about, and that's the person I thought about. So, I remember that I have people that I'm assigned to. I'm not assigned to everybody. I'm not trying to sound politically correct. I'm not trying to sound like a news anchor. That's because that's not who I am. I am who I am. Sometimes I have brain fog, and I do. I have a brain fog. There's nothing I can do about that. When I was diagnosed with cancer a few years ago, the medication did that. I work on it, but I don't allow that to prevent me from doing my assignment. So let me keep going. I speak things out loud. If it's something that's trying to look like negative overthinking, I say, you know what, this is fear talking, and this is not fact. So you have to talk yourself out of the fear. You have to identify what it is what fear is. It fear, rejection, abandonment, embarrassment, whatever it is. You have to speak it out. You got to name it. You have to be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And then if you know that this is something that you struggle with, you set designated times to, okay, so if you are a worrier or negative, if negative overthinking is something that you struggle with, create a time through every day. You're going to take 5 to 10 minutes to journal or reflect some of your concerns about preparing or whatever you're going to do. You set that time, and after that time, you set it, you journal it down, your concerns, and then you create, and then you say, well, what's some of the best possible outcomes I can have for this? So you combating those negative concerns with some positive outcome. And this teaches your brain that worry has boundaries. That's what it does. Then you move your body. Move your body. If negative overthinking is something that you struggle with, get up and move. When you find yourself spiraling mentally, walk, stretch, dance, breathe. Take some deep breaths. Put on some positive, upbeat music. Take 5 minutes to reset your nervous system. Reset it, and you go back at it. And you have to retrain yourself. You have to retrain yourself. Even you have to replace and don't suppress your thoughts. Use affirmations, scripture-based thoughts to say, I'm not my fear. In Philippians 4:8, it says, whatever is true, whatever is, think on these things, whatever is pure. So you think on things that are pure, that are good, that are wholesome, that are positive. You replace the negative thoughts with positive thoughts. And if that doesn't help, seek, or in combination with, seek a trusted friend that does not struggle with overthinking. Let me say that, negative overthinking. Or get a therapist. Just get a therapist. Speaking your thoughts out loud diffuses their power. Okay. If you're struggling with negative overthinking and you start saying your fears, it takes the power of those fears from you, because you can be honest with yourself. You can name it. You can say, you know what? This is what this is. It causes it to lose its power, and you can replace it with something positive. Overthinking is often rooted in fear and lack of trust. Fear and lack of trust. And I hear my clients say, well, I've always been this way. Well, you've always been in fear. You've always had a lack of trust. It doesn't mean that's how you're supposed to be. It's just you've always been that way. Or they say, well, this is how I am. No, it's not. That's how you became. You were not born that way. You became that way. And anything that you became, you can become something that different. If you became one way, you can become something different. It's a choice. Does it take work? Yes, it does. Does it take you being intentional? Yes, it does. But you can overcome it. Negative overthinking. Overthinking is not bad. In Joshua 1:8, the word of God tells us to meditate on the word day and night, and it will make your way prosperous. If you meditate on positive outcomes, success, peace, joy, the word of God, and finding those scriptures or affirmations, you, not God, not the universe, not the situation, but you will find good success because of what you think. Your words create, your thoughts create words, and your words create your reality. Your words create your reality. Overthinking in silence and secrecy. And that's what most people do. They seclude to themselves and they think negative. Overthinking thrives in silence and secrecy. It thrives in it. But when you interrupt with the truth, action, and grace, you gain your peace back. You gain the life that you want back. You gain the lifestyle that you want back. So I um, challenge you today. Allow your thoughts to be your servants and not your masters. Change your negative overthinking today to positive. Take the necessary steps to retrain your thinking, to retrain your mindset. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk with Tom. If you found today's conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Let's keep this dialogue going. Follow me on Let's Talk Tom for more insights and encouragement. Remember, every step forward starts with an honest conversation. Until next time, stay grounded, stay growing, and keep talking.